Yes, sir, we are live.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Hearty welcome to Wednesday Study Circle, Jnanarjane Empowering Excellence. Friends, today we have selected the technology, information technology topic. The original topic we have changed it because the speaker due to emergency medical reasons he could not come. So we are fortunate to have on a quick notice our fellow member from Ahmedabad, CA Ankith is joined, and in a very short notice he agreed and came here to speak on the topic artificial intelligence in finance, accounts and auditing. An excellent topic he has chosen. He said he is comfortable to speak on that topic in a short notice. So we happily agreed that. And friends, it is quite interesting topic, artificial intelligence in finance, accounts and auditing. An expert from IT sector, CA Ankith agreed for that. So on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants are here and on behalf of all the panelists, Divya and others, hearty welcome, Ankith. Hearty welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Friends, I'll take a minute or two to explain about, to inform about other programs of Bangalore branch lined up in this month. Tomorrow we have a half-a-day seminar on professional ethics and Ind AS. It is morning 10 to 1 p.m. Please register. Again, it is a free for this month. So, and on 24th to 1st June, 4 days workshop on wealth management is there. Please register to that also. Again, that is free. It is a CPE program, free for all of you. And on 28th, amendment in new Schedule 3 of the Companies Act and the CARO, the impact on that on the CARO also is there. That is on Friday, 28th, 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Please register to that program. Again, it is a free CPE program. And plus, we have next on 26th, the study circle meet, Wednesday study circle also is there. With that note, once again, hearty welcome to each one of you. For all the programs of Bangalore branch, please look into bangaloricai.org. All the information available there. You can register. You can even download mobile app of the Bangalore branch from Play Store. Please download that so you can register for all the programs through the mobile app. With that note, yes, one more thing I need to make an appeal. Our donation request for oxygen concentrator still there. So please make whatever best possible contribution to that noble cause. Please do that. With that note, once again, hearty welcome to each one of you participants. You are the reason for this program. So with your overwhelming response, we organize this. Hearty welcome to Ankith once again. With that note, over to Divya.
Thank you, Chairman. A very pleasant good evening to all the members, to our Speaker of the Day, CA Ankith. I would like to welcome him with a brief introduction. FCA Ankith, born at Chennai, educated and trained at Surat, practicing in Ahmedabad. He is serving ICA as National Faculty for DISA and CP conferences. He is serving as Advisory Board Member for GNLU Legal Incubation Council for guiding and mentoring startups. He has judged National Business Plan for GLIC and for further government fundings, approvals for winning business proposals. He has won National Award as Upcoming Young Talent in Academic R&D. Certified by TAFE-NSW Australia on Training and Assessment. Registered with Australian Skills Qualification Authority as Leadership and Management, Business and Accountancy Subject Matter Expert. Served as editor of 2 national level magazines. Has worked with IIM Ahmedabad as one of the youngest academic associate in finance and accounting area and research associated for MBA curriculum. With this very brief introduction, I welcome you for today's program, sir.
Thank you, Divya
ji.
And thank you, Chairman sir, and the committee members for hosting me today. So today's topic is artificial intelligence. And before we start with that topic, I would want my audience to, use the chat box to give responses to the questions that I ask with the introduction of the topic. So I'll share my screen first. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, it is.
All right. Chat box. Yeah. So on artificial intelligence, I would like to know what basic idea do members have with respect to artificial intelligence, because we'll be discussing today what role it's going to have in future in our domains of work, specifically finance, accounting, and auditing. So anybody who's actually working or have some basic idea on artificial intelligence can please share in the chat box. Anybody would like to? Any members? What artificial intelligence is about? No. Okay, then let me start it some other way. There are these two big countries, India and China, and Aravind ji is saying that it predicts behavior. Very true. It predicts behavior. Knowledge patterns can be built into a module. Booking of an invoice. Good examples. Coming back to the introduction, there are these two big countries, India and China, and we all know that we have a massive population. In fact, if you jot down the top 10 countries with the highest population, you are not terribly surprised. First is China and second is India. I want to know, why do we have such a massive population? Why do we have such a massive population? This has been true for the thousands of years of human history on this planet, that both these two countries, especially South Asia, has more than 50% of the world's population. Very crazy. There has to be some strong reason. Automation of process analysis. Good. Anandji. Yeah. So why do we have such a massive population?
Very good weather condition for habitation.
Weather conditions, one of the reason. Yeah, true. So if you go back to the history, India was located on the southern tip of the planet. From there, it traveled and dashed with the Asian continent, and that is how the Himalayas were formed. So answer definitely goes back to geography, but it is specifically about one thing, and that is called the Tibetan Plateau. That is called the largest freshwater resource anywhere on this planet. That is called the rooftop of the planet. And from that Tibetan Plateau runs down all the major rivers of these two countries, the Gangetic Plain for India and the Indus River where the civilization grew, and the Yangtze River for China. It is because of this massive freshwater rivers that this massive amount of population could be sustained. The next question is how these two countries were so rich. In fact, India was the richest country in the sense that from year 1 till year 1700 AD, we were contributing on an average about 27% of the world GDP. तो जो भी उल्टा सुल्टा हुआ है last 300 years में हुआ है, right? So how were we able to contribute 27% to the world GDP? So what basically human beings were doing on this planet was agriculture as an economic activity. These massive freshwater rivers deposited tremendous amount of silt on both the sides of its banks, and with that massive amount of silt, massive amount of agriculture was possible. You had more than 50% of the world's farmers, you have more than 50% of the world's agriculture, and that is how you had more than 50% of the world GDP, both the countries combined, right? For 17 centuries. Now what suddenly happened? Industrial revolution came, and that came to Europe. Now, a person sitting in a European factory with the help of technology could produce 1,000 times more than an Indian or a Chinese worker. This is how 1 unit of their population created massive economy. Look at the precipitous fall. India and China fell down from more than 50% of world GDP to less than 5%. This is because of technology. This is what happened with technology, right? What is going to happen next? So with globalization and democracy, the same technology started penetrating into Asia. Now an Indian and a Chinese worker about almost as much productive as a worker outside. So if you apply a basic rule saying the whole world, each person is equally productive, then obviously the country with the largest population is going to become the richest economy. So India and China are back on track to become the largest economies of the world. But you need to know that if you have to produce 1,000 times more, or you want to serve 1,000 times more, you need resources. So Europeans had devised a strategy. They conquered the important islands, the important port cities, the entry and exit points of the waters of these two countries. They slowly subdued India and China, got the raw materials from here, sourced it back over there, produced finished goods, and sold it back again over here. This is how both the countries became poor. But the change that has come is because of access of technology that now we too have, right? So India and China are right now back on track to become the largest economies of the world. And for that, the minimum thing that you need is a technology edge, the edge in technology and English language. Both of these are the bare minimum skills that any professional would require. And the young generation of chartered accountants, this is what I believe, that they do not have the privilege of working in traditional sectors, which maybe their principals were able to have, right? So IT skills and English language, these are bare minimum. And then Indians will have to serve the outside clients, right? The global clients. And that is how we are going to take forward this consultancy work and professional work. And English language, I believe, compared to the Chinese people, we Indians do have an edge over there. But as far as IT is concerned, China is pacing up faster, and we need to push our work in that sense too. So ICI has to also work on these new domains of blockchain, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, right? These are the new domain areas which are coming up, and how we are going to be able to use this kind of technologies in our consultancy work and give better services to the world, right? So when we talk about artificial intelligence, there are three major parts of it. One is that I like to show you one image. Yeah. So if you look at this particular table, the one thing that I just explained you, we are already the largest consumer market of the world. All right. And then you can see this particular table shows you that Britain was the world power, and the causes were theft of technology. I mean, there are many people who claim that the Industrial Revolution was because of the theft of technology they did from here, theft of capital, raw materials, and literature from India. And what was the outcome? Industrial Revolution and mass manufacturing in Europe, right? Next was United States. They took a lot of meritorious Indians over there. Silicon Valley has a major portion of that. Major R&D on all fronts. And when you look at China, they did theft of technology and literature from US. In fact, until last year, until Trump banned the Chinese students from accessing sensitive technology education over there in United States, till that point in time, the theft was going on. So with that theft of technology and literature from US, they were able to do a lot of industrialization and mass manufacturing. So you see that the focal point is going to be Indian Ocean, because majority of the resources pass through the Indian Ocean. It's the only peaceful ocean from where the oil, gas, raw materials, and resources flow. So that is always going to be the real battlefield whenever a real war takes place. But that's another discussion out there. So going back to the topic. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, there are three parts of it. One is what we call as cognitive science. Now, cognitive science is going to be about how human brain works, how humans think and learn. Second is what we call as robotics. What happens in robotics? It's like computer intelligence, but it has human-like physical capabilities. Say, for example, there's a robot called Molly, M-O-L-E-Y. Now there are two big hands in it, and the recipes are programmed in its brain, and it knows around 200 plus recipes. You just need to press a button and it works. So robotics is about computer intelligence, but human-like physical capabilities. And the third one is what we call as the natural languages. Natural languages meaning the machine is able to understand what a human is speaking, right? So these are the three major parts of AI. So it's basically a software that mimics human cognitive skills, seeing, hearing, speaking, and processing information. Now, the question is, why do we need artificial intelligence in our domains? One of the things is that there's a huge volume of data and uh, information data sets, which are so big when we're talking about big data, uh, that a human cannot process those, right? With the kind of speed that is required. So whether we talk about cost savings, whether we are talking about accurate projections, whether we are talking about getting real-time information for precision decision making, for all these, AI is going to help you out. Now, the fear that many of the professionals would have would be like, can AI replace human professionals? I'll answer that question as we go through the presentation, right? So one of the program which Oxford Martin on technology and employment does, they have done a research, and what they say is that they've examined around 700 plus jobs, and they find bookkeeping, auditing, accounting stand around 98% probability of automation. That is the risk they show for this professions, the basic accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping professions, right? So we'll get back to there. What's next about it? So when we compare the traditional roles with the new roles that are coming up, uh, the traditional roles would be like financial planning and analysis, right? Now that would be replaced by something called data scientists. Now these people would compile financial data into rich data sets for decision making, right? Something like financial controller would transform into something like scenario planner, who's going to talk about what could be the likely business environment scenarios or possibilities, permutation combinations of that, right? How the businesses are going to deal in this changing scenario. So if you're talking about COVID right now, right? So what the tourism sector is facing, what the hospitality sector is facing, what the realty sector is facing, right? So that financial controller role goes into changes into something like, because when the business environment is so dynamic, right? This is what is going to happen. Accounts payable, receivable manager, right? Those kind of traditional tasks which are very much those which can be easily be streamlined into simple binary answers of yes and no, and simple tasks of data entries kind of things, those are going to vanish for sure, right? So, and the new types of roles which are going to come up is like market maker and behavioral scientist. Now, what market maker is going to do, they're going to explore new business opportunities. And you will be requiring new kind of technical competencies for that. When we talk about behavioral scientist, what is the change in consumer behavior is something about it. What is the change in competitors' behavior is something about it, right? So the traditional roles are going to be swapped with new kind of roles. And when that happens, right, you would be requiring new kinds of skills. Now, where all this started with. So Alan Turing around 1950 came up with this something called the Turing test. That is, you can trace the starting point of artificial intelligence somewhere over that. Chatbot Eliza in 1960s by Joseph Weizenbaum was something also considered as the starting point of artificial intelligence. So how artificial intelligence has grown organically over a period of time from narrow AI to general AI and to super AI. So when we talk about narrow AI, it is about specific tasks. When we talk about general AI, it is about transfer of knowledge from one domain to other, right? Multi-domain skills kind of thing. And we talk about super AI, we are talking, if not more, but at least smarter smarter like a human, right? So that kind of the growth AI has seen over these decades. Now, the shift is going to be from making work papers to being more analytical, intuitive, and critical reading kind of skills, right? So the new skills would be whether you have the curiosity to update or not. I'll be very sad to break over here and tell you that within few years, I will not. You won't be surprised if you find that no piece of certificate will be valid for kind of a guarantee kind of for your career growth. I mean, for say 5, 10, 15 years of guarantee with that piece of paper. So basically, the education system will also have to change, right? Courses which are beyond 2 years would be like something you have to update every second of the third year with the new kind of skills. Otherwise, you are out of the market, right? So this is what is going to happen over a period of time. Now, something, if we ask to the previous generation, they would be like, no, हमने तो clear किया है तो हमको we are expecting कि 10-20 years तो निकलना ही चाहिए, but that is not going to be the case for the future generation. But that those people who are ready to take up those new kind of skills and update themselves on time, they are definitely going to have a first mover advantage into these new domains, for sure. Right? So you need to have more kind of a verifying nature, skepticism. You should be able to systematically evaluate with the capability of using logic, right? And have multiple perspectives in terms of multiple domains and functionalities of businesses, right? Now, when we talk about AI chatbots, I mean, you all are aware of it, right? So one is live chat and second is what we call as the virtual assistants. So Alan Turing, what he defines in this Turing test as what we can call it as artificial intelligence is that if a human is able to interact with the machine, but he is not going to be able to understand whether he is talking to a human or talking to a machine. When that kind of precision is arrived, that can be called as an artificial intelligence. All right. So we are talking to a chat box, but there is some XYZ name written over there, but you are not going to know whether that there is an actual person out there or is a machine. Then that is called artificial intelligence according to the Turing test. All right. Now there's this wonderful movie which you should see, The Imitation Game, right? And you'll come to know that there is some Second World War coding done with respect to this Turing, this guy, Alan Turing. And that's a very good movie, fancy thing that you should see. Now I'll take you to this particular website, tolly.ai, right? If you have a laptop and internet, you obviously have internet, right? So we would like to see Tolly AI. My screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So say I'm saying over here, I've typed allowances over here. What
No,
answer?
no. Your PPT is there still.
Only the PPT is visible.
Yeah.
Okay. Visible?
Yes. Yeah.
So this TOLLEY.ai. Now this is the kind of an artificial intelligence bot. Now whatever you are going to type over here, right? That the app is going to learn what you are asking about, and if it has the meaning of that particular word in its data set, it's going to speak up, right? So this is the kind of artificial intelligence app we are talking about over here. All right. Get back to the screen. Presentation is visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come back to some websites later, but before that, let me check. Yeah. So we'll try to make an IBM chatbot today live, right? So I'm just explaining you over here how this IBM Watson works. Now over here on the left side, you see there's the user interface, which the customer is able to see this part of the screen. The second one is about the channel of communication. So you can see there's a Twitter symbol over there. There's a WhatsApp symbol over there, Facebook, Skype, right? Internet of Things. Now, the customer is going to input his query on the interface through these channels, right? Now see how this IBM Watson chatbot works, this artificial intelligence chatbot, right? So how it's going to do is it's going to do a pre-processing first. So it will convert speech to text, language translation if required, then natural language understanding, whatever that you are trying to convey. And then there is something called tone analyzer. Tone analyzer in the sense, say suppose if there's a client who has come up. Now this particular IBM Watson will check what kind of tone he is speaking in. I mean, they do have this learning capacity as to somebody is angry or somebody is sad, that kind of thing. So it analyzes the tone. So this is pre-processing which is done. And then there is something called post-processing. And this is on a cloud network, right? So what Watson Assistant will do is it will post-process the input feed and it will try to get information from either the enterprise data and services, the data which is stored, file repository, from the business process heads, there's the departments, whatever the information bank that they have, and third-party application also it will check. And say suppose the Watson Assistant is not able to get the information from this file, it can have another service which is called discovery service. Now this discovery service would run something like a Google search engine and try to find out the answer. All right. So after this post processing, the Watson Assistant will come up with an answer to the customer for the query he has asked. This is the entire flowchart structure of how an AI IBM Watson chatbot works. So we'll try to make a chatbot like this live on this session today. All right. Now, before we go to that, this is the website cloud.ibm.com. So all those who have laptop can please go to this portal cloud.ibm.com. Yeah. Now, before we move on to that, I have to explain you some of the key words on how to make this thing, right? So there's something called intent. Intent is the user statements with same meanings. All right. Second is called entity. Entity is the keywords which are business specific terms which the artificial intelligence machine needs to learn. Third thing is called dialogues. So that is the discussion between the team and the machines. All right. And fourth one is called integration. This is an example, integration with Slack. So if you want to do integration with Slack, it will integrate. Slack is one of the team management software that you have. I mean, your entire team is managed on there, right? They're working together on it, right? So intent, entity, dialogues, and integration. These are the kind of features that you need to plug into this IBM Watson. So we'll go to this cloud.ibm.com and see how a chatbot can be made. All right. So I'll go to that portal, cloud.ibm.com. Visible?
Visible, yes.
Yeah. So over here you would log in, right? This is my email ID. All right. So you can do along with me if you are on the portal. Now there are a host of services which are available over here, right? With this IBM Cloud account. So we'll go to the two services that I've already made a sample one so that you would be able to understand what it is. For you, if it is the first time, you are going to create a resource out there. All right. Right now you can watch me how I'm doing it. So in the services, I have two of them, Discovery XJ and Assistant JZEKH. So I'm going to that and explaining you with a sample how to do it. So you'll get this kind of a screen. Is there any query? You can put in the chat box if you have. So you go to the Launch Watson Assistant button and click it. Okay, you go to the Create Assistant button if you want to create a new one, and you will type it out over here. All right. And then you put up a description over here. We are not creating a new one. I'm just trying to show you how to do one. All right. So what we do is, let me just explain you. Okay. So this is how, when you press Create Assistant, you are going to name what the chatbot you are trying to make. So I have made this chatbot, which is called New Team Member Assistance. All right. And what this bot is supposed to do, this bot is supposed to help with onboarding. So onboarding could be of a client. It could also be of a new team member. All right. So I go to this New Team Member Assistant. All right. And add an action skill. I already have created this dialog box where I have the sample. So I'll click it. Now the first one is about intent. So I have two intents with me. One is called meeting times and second is called office location. So I press to the meeting times. All right. I have named it as meeting times, hashtag meeting / times _ times. And what does this intent do? It will provide me meeting times. Now in the user example, you can explain what the team member could probably ask for when he wants to know the meeting time, right? So what could be the question? What is the meeting time for training next month? All right. Say the user is going to type something like this. So you add it. All right. Then you go back. This is the second intent that I have created, which is called office location. So hash office _ location. And the description is where is the office. Now in this user example, you have to put up all the possibilities of versions of this particular question. Where is the office? Where is the team seated? This could be another one, right? So so Watson would like you to put up all kind of user examples. See, I have put in over here. Headquarter, how can I reach office? All right. Training, where is my headquarter located? Where is the team seated? Where should I report? Where the office is? So I've given 7 examples over here to the chatbot assistant, right? And then the chatbot would process all this information, and when the customer or the team member who's going to onboard, when that person tries to search for an answer, this particular chatbot will process the answers which are fed in already and give an output, right? Easy to understand. So these are the two intents that I have created, and then I have entities created. The first entities is called office. All right. So for office, the entity that I've created, so I've named it @office. Then I have to type a value for it, and whether it is a synonym or not, that I have to feed in. And over here you can see I have fed in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values I have fed in. One is called Ahmedabad, second is Ahmedabad office, third is called headquarters, HQ, NYC office, Paris office. All right. So these are the entities that we are talking about. Second is called training. So @training is the name of the entity. All right. I'll put in the values. The value I have over here is only one value I have saved over here in this particular sample, which is called workshops. So somebody wants to know about workshops. the chatbot is going to scroll to this, process to this particular entity and give an output as an answer. Now, for an output to come, you have to train the chatbot to understand and process what kind of answers to give when. All right. And for that, you have this particular facility, which is called dialogue. All right. So we go into dialogue. Now in this one, first one is a welcome. So if you see over here, welcome. All right. So if the assistant is recognizing the word welcome, right, what the assistant is going to respond, it will respond with a text, and the response is, hello, how can I help you? So whenever you go to some e-commerce portal and open the chat box, you see this particular chat box pops up, and then, how can I help you comes up on its own. So this is the AI that you're trying to create. So when we are talking about this, our domains that we're talking about, accounting, auditing, and finance, what we need to do is we need to use this chatbots for managing our team and managing the clients. Are you getting it? That is how we are going to save on cost. That is how we are going to save on time. All right. Now, and I'll show you how many of the big fours have used this and saved plenty of cost and time, right? And the effectiveness with which they are managing their teams. So this is the first node, which is called welcome. Second is time is training. That is the node I've sample that I've created. So what time the training would be. So if the assistant recognizes from intent or the entity. So I have put up an intent over here. You can see in the conditions, right? So in the conditions, you can add whether you want an intent. All right. And you also want assistant to search in the entities. All right. Training workshops. So this is what the bot would do. You have to train the bot, right? Just as you have to train team members. All right. So when they find out what the person is asking from this intent and entity, it will respond to that, right? That is how you have to train it. Now, similarly, if you get back here, you can create another, you can add a child node, you can add a folder, you can add another node. So say, suppose I'm adding another node. So what node would I would like to add? I'm adding get office location. All right. If I want to get an office location and what, the assistant needs to recognize. If I'm putting intent office location, and if I'm putting an entity office. All right. So this is what the chatbot would do. If assistant recognizes what the person is asking about in terms of office location, it will check in this and this. Now you also have an option to put conditions or. All right. You understand the difference between and or, right? Now the assistant will respond, and what would be the response text, right? You need to put up some address out there. So what kind of address you are going to put up? Our office is first floor, right? Pinnacle Complex, South Purple, right? So what traditionally is going to happen, which happens in every CA's office right now, is the staff is going to come to office, and then he's going to get an instruction that he's supposed to go to the client's place, etc. Now all these things automatically happens with this particular chatbot, right? So that the transport cost is saved, the timing is saved, the processes are fixed, right? So whenever if a replacement of employee or staff happens, or a new client is coming, still your processes all remain the same. So that is the amount of cost that you're trying to save over here. All right. With this automation. Am I visible, or should I put up the lights?
You are visible.
Visible? Okay. All right. So this is how the dialogue is made. All right. So if you let's try checking something. So I want to know about office location. See, this is how the chatbot is functioning, right? I asked about office location. It used its own brain and gave the address out. Can you see it? Right? So this is the kind of artificial intelligence that we are talking about. Now let us see how it's working in terms of, when we talk about big fours, what kind of things they are doing. So we go to the all right. So this is the dialogue part of this thing. And then you go back. All right. And you can see over here, there's something called integrations. All right. So in the integration facilities, you have something called web chat, and then you can also add other integrations. Other integrations, what they are offering right now, third-party integrations like Slack, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp with Twilio. So these are kind of team management and client management softwares that you can connect and integrate over here and do the communication or everything on technology rather than personally talking to the team or the client, right? So this is the kind of facilities. Now, if you look at what EY has done, right? So EY has what kind of benefit it has gotten, right? So it has deployed an assistant called Goldie, Goldie, right? And with that assistant, around more than 250,000 EY professionals across 150 countries in just 31 days it has deployed with. And what is the impact? More than 500,000 questions were answered in Goldie's first 28 days, right? So you understand the kind of benefit they must have had with respect to team management and client management, right? So this is what the app did to them. You understand what kind of, now for a small practitioner, you would like start thinking that, oh, what would be the cost and whether I would derive a benefit or not. But then when we're talking about scaling businesses to these levels where we are working in multiple countries. I mean, if we want to grow to multiple countries, we need to have this kind of technologies which is required, right? Anyways, if you're talking about outsourcing, Bangalore is an outsourcing hub, right? For IT, at least for the IT people, I guess, right? So when we're talking about accounting, taxation, the kind of softwares with foreign US, UK, Australia, Canada clients use, you all must be aware about QuickBooks and Sage and SAP, and these are the kind of softwares that they are using for accounting and all. Now, those kind of accounting are also getting linked with artificial intelligence technologies. I'll try to show you one video. Is this visible? Please, let me check. Share file including video.
Not video. Video is not visible.
Video isn't visible?
No.
Okay, if let me check. Video won't be visible. Is that so?
No.
Manish, ask us, sir, no?
Is it visible?
No.
Share file is different. Let me check somewhere else. YouTube is visible?
No.
YouTube is also not visible.
No.
Let me check. Now?
Yes. But it is muted.
Not audible?
No.
The voice is full.
No. Nothing is coming. So it's simply running. There is no
All
voice.
right. All right. Then what I'll do is I'll search. I'll give this one in the chat box. Okay. Please watch this particular video. So this is an app which they have created. It's called Talk Accounting, and you just have to speak and all your entries would be done. You just give your invoices and it will scan and put the entry on its own, right? If you have to use a scanner for the invoices, right? So this is something around $20 a month, which comes to around, how much? 1,400, 1,500. Yeah. So that is the monthly expense for the accounting, AI based accounting. All right. Can you see the video, all of you? Yeah, please see the video. Seen everyone? Yeah.
Yes, you can go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So that is $20 a month kind of accounting, AI based accounting, right? So next one is something called speech recognition, where voice to emotions, everything is the artificial intelligence is able to process. So it started around 1982. Bell Lab speaker recognition, they have the patent for it. What they use is stored templates of words, but now these days in the modern ones we have machine learning techniques. So we all know now they are also able to detect emotion from the speech. That patent was taken in 2012 by Bennett Phoenix Solutions, that detects from your utterances, from your speed, from your tonality, whether you're angry, sad, whatever. And then the bot is going to decide whether you to forward you to a live person, or the chatbot can help you out based on your mood at that spot, at that point in time or not, right? Next is Amazon is working on a wearable device that learns on its own in terms of, say, when talking about month end closing for accounting, right? It is going to give you an alert based on pending journal entries or ledger posting. And if you're coughing, it's going to tell you, suggest a syrup, where that syrup is there in the inventory nearby your location, everything. We are already aware of Google Voice, Cortana, Alexa, and Siri, this kind of facilities which are, able to detect by our voice. All right. Now, one of the stuff which artificial intelligence experts, one of the team members who worked with Abdul Kalam sir, is an Indian, Murthy sir in US. He told me that it will take artificial intelligence around 10 years to understand that Sanskrit is the language which is best suited for it, because there are so many words like say no, no, and KNOW, no. So the machine is not going to understand whether no and no, which no it is about, right? The machine is also not going to work out on different accents and the dialects with which people speak. So he says that Sanskrit is the only language which on which no accent can work. I mean, a person from Spain or a person from Zimbabwe is going to spell exactly the same thing as an Indian if he's speaking a Sanskrit word. So he says that it will take around 10 years for the world to understand that this is Sanskrit is the only language which should be used for AI. Let's hope something happens like that, right? So in terms of accounting, dictation for journal entries can be done. In terms of auditing, speech analytics can be set up. Now, when we say about automation in auditing or artificial intelligence in auditing, we are all aware that the big fours have already started using this kind of automation systems, which are, say, for example, if I'm talking about internal audit, this is one particular domain where automation and artificial intelligence is going to spread very fast. Why? The reason is that the scope of internal audit, as we all know, is an internal function of the management, right? It's not some external guy who's coming in. I mean, you can hire an external guy, but the scope is given on a platter, right? The company decides, the entity decides the scope for internal audit. So if you have an IT department who's also aware of the AI stuff, what the companies are going to do is they are going to give this particular scope of internal audit to the IT guys. The IT guys are going to plug those specific criterias which need for, say, suppose exception reports, right? So what this particular, they can devise this AI based software. What this software will do is this software will go and sit on the accounting system of the company. Say, for example, any expense which is about 25,000 should be authenticated by AGM and GM both. Suppose this is one of the criteria for exception reports. So what this software is going to do is the team just needs to press a button. This software will drill down to all, it sits on the accounting system. So this software will drill down to all the transactions and throw all the exception reports out, right? So this is the kind of artificial, and obviously internal audit will see it, very early compared to, other domains, right? So that is their finance. When we are talking about, we already have, automated balance messages and kind of things, transfer messages. But banks are offering transaction tracking and balance checking over voice also. So this is something new which is coming up, right? So these are the stuffs that we have. Now, talk counting, I told you about the pricing, that's around $20 something for a month. Now let's see what Deloitte is doing with the AI capabilities. They have something called the knowledge space tool. Right now, so what this particular, they have this tool called, they have made this tool knowledge space. So a leading provider of speech analytics, right? Now, how Deloitte's assurance and advisory business is making the most out of it, right? You can see over here, I'll share the links in the presentation later. You can also read this entire document again, right? So what the users are saying, knowledge space was developed 15 years ago, and the person is saying that joining Deloitte allows us to scale up our offering in the market. Having access to Deloitte's pool of resources, expertise, and talent not only benefits our clients, but also our clients' ability to get bigger and better. So this kind of tools which the consultancy firms are customizing and devising, they are not just using these tools for their teams and their clients, but they are also marketing and selling these tools. Do you understand? So say if we are talking about an auditing tool, say KPMG has developed an auditing tool called K Proctor. Now this particular tool, when a client of KPMG is using it, say the audit fees is coming, otherwise the audit fees is coming to say 2 crore something for a big group like a Torrent or Reliance or ESA kind of thing. After using these tools, if the audit fees comes down to 20-25 lakhs. Now, once the client has paid fees of 25 lakhs instead of 2 crores, it is very likely that not just they are going to refer this particular product, get it customized for their internal usage, but they are also going to market and sell to lot many clients, right? So this is the kind of things which are happening. There's a Rajkot-based firm over here. Two youngsters have created an automated audit tool, which is selling like blowing the charts kind of thing. So you see, these are the kind of things which are happening in this particular domain. Now look at this particular bank, TD Voice Print, right? TD Voice Print. Now this is a voice recognition technology that allows for the voice print, a unique to as your fingerprint. जैसे fingerprint unique होता है, वैसे voice print भी unique रहता है, right? So this system takes a print of your voice in on real-time basis and transcribes it into a mathematical data that cannot be replicated. Like the lines on your finger, your voice print also have this particular unique voice. So it has 100 different characteristics, and that is how they are going to give customized services to each customer. Now imagine a bank going to this length for customer service, right? Now next one is about to get back to the screen, natural language, right? Natural language processing. So one thing that is about the sentiment analysis, which I talked about. So big businesses, like you say, talking about an e-commerce companies. Yes, Mayurji, I'll share the entire PPT. So it has all the links. Don't worry. Yeah. So when we talk about sentiment analysis, company reviews, I mean, just even by the business logic, I mean, we Gujaratis have a lot of tendency towards entrepreneurship. Just telling you that company reviews is like a completed research treasure trove which is ready in public domain. I mean, somebody who wants to just start business based on the product reviews of customers from these portals, you can almost start a separate e-commerce company of your own, because it's a used, researched feedback that you're getting from customers, which means that a lot of your research and development and market survey costs are saved just based on the customer reviews of products. You can almost start another industry based on product, what I call it a product customization, right? So if there's a TV where the customers are telling case mein ye rehta to acha tha, and then that is available in public domain, that information, right? So with little bit plus and minus in cost, if you are able to do product customization based on the requirements and then sell it, you can very well start up a separate e-commerce website kind of a thing. So what I'm trying to say over here is that this kind of AI facilities give you this kind of analysis help from the big data set that are collected. There will be positive and negative reviews, right? The sentiments, when we are talking about, that could be about social media analysis. If you're talking about the brand value of a particular business in market, the goodwill of a particular business in market. Just right now, we are seeing in the COVID times how certain employers are helping, and they're helping their employees getting positive reviews. Obviously, that does help in their overall brand value, right? Second is called named entity resolution. This is based on detection based structure. So when we are talking about detection based structure, what are we saying? We are saying that this particular artificial intelligence is able to uh, filter out those specific fields that we need from our business perspective, right? So if I am putting in a document which has, say if I'm talking about an IRCTC ticket that I'm scanning in this artificial intelligence machine or the software, right? Now, what I want that artificial intelligence to do is only filter out the names of the passengers and their age and the movement to route of those passengers. Now, when we are talking about people who are 10 crore, 20 crore data, and we want to know what age people travel, what destinations, right? At what timings, right? So that kind of data, that this is a detection based structure which AI helps you with, right? Next is called text clustering and categorization. So one thing is about document grouping, where you have this predetermined classification. Say when I'm doing right now a research on, I'm actually doing it. So that is about impact of e-commerce on offline trade and a change in consumer behavior. This is a doctoral research right now I'm doing, right? So there are three parts of this research. One is called the research-based consultancy is another new domain for chartered accountants. You should go for it. Now, what I'm doing in this particular research is one part of research is that what is the change in consumer behavior because of e-commerce? Second part of the research is that what is the impact on pure offline shops because of e-commerce? And third part of my research is what are the changes the government needs to make in the Competition Act and the Consumer Protection Act. These are three parts of research, the doctoral research right now I'm conducting. So AI is going to help you out with that. And there are research tools which are available like R, SPSS, where you're going to put in all the primary data source and the data sets that you have collected from actual samples, and then you just need to press a button, and then this AI kind of facilities are going to do all the testing and give you an output of what the analysis is about, right? So text clustering and categorization is another help. That when you're talking about document grouping, we are saying that say XYZ state government, say you're talking about Karnataka state government wants to, it has a huge data set of information about population living in Karnataka, their biodata and everything. Where are they natives about everything? So AI is going to help you out with managing that huge data, grouping that huge biodata of the entire population, right? This is one of the primary reason why the Chinese apps were banned. So I'll go to that national security part later. So when we talk about this accounting, we are talking, say one of the example is mining contracts. So you are going to stuff in all the mining contracts, and this particular AI app which is created is going to give you a cost benefit analysis, and you are directly able to make a comparative and take a decision. Right. Similarly with fraud detections. Now there are so many AI-based softwares which help out with fraud detection. Even in the DISA and of this FAFP course, you must have seen some of those tools which are being used. So you have entire data with you. You are going to run those particular tests, and you are going to get the exception reports. You are going to find out missing bills, missing check numbers, right? You want to find out those transactions which are beyond the arm's length, right? So AI is going to help you out with that. Next is about auditing, understanding the auditing, right? So AI is going to help you out with understanding the audit also, right? Because each of the different industry sector is going to have a different kind of, say, if I'm talking about some ratio, the cash ratio for a textile industry and a diamond industry is going to be different. So if you have generated a customized AI software tool for yourself, and then you are going to make that AI capable enough to learn and update on its own, right? That really helps. Now, if you're talking about Vikram Sarabhai library at IMA, it's equipped in a way that it updates itself on its own in terms of the latest data it needs to have for the case studies, right? So the next one is finance. Now there's some things called even in the domains of, say, when talking about confidential files, there are files created which can destroy on its own after a period of time, destroy on its own after a specific number of prints, right? So these are the small AI, basic AI being used while designing this kind of documents. Finance. So assessment of entities' performance using online data and social media. So there could be entities who are performing very well in terms of their financial data, right? But when you talk about their online and social media presence, that is why information has become very important, especially in the national security domain. We are seeing that the outlets of information need to be always be in the hands of the nationalist. Otherwise, what would happen is always wrong information is going to go to the public, manufactured kind of an information. So similarly, when we're talking about finance or entities performance, obviously the business wants that the rivals are not able to spread rumors, especially when you see those events of incidents and disasters happening with the entity. You don't want someone to go out and give a wrong bite and the stock market's going to change the next day based on that wrong piece of information being circulated, right? So AI is going to help you out with a lot of these things. So how this NLP is working. So this is an example which I've shown, a flowchart example of it if you're talking about reviews, customer reviews from an e-commerce portal. So what it does, what NLP does is that it's going to extract the text from the source, pre-process the text, all right? Then it's going to create a document team metrics and then apply the NLP technique for, say, sentiment analysis or text clustering. And then you are able to make quick decision making out of it, right? So here are two reviews. One is I like the shoes is the comment given by the customer. Second comment is I liked my bag. All right. Now you can see in this particular table how NLP is pre-processing it. It removes the stop words and lemmatizes. So in the sense, in the like column, you can see 1 and 1 frequency is given over there. In the shoe column, 1 like and back column 1 like. We all know this, how this matrix is, team matrix is formed, term matrix is formed, right? So the NLP technique is then applied to this particular data collection matrix, and then you are able to take decision. I'll go to the portal later. Maybe you can links if we, how much is the time that we have? Let me check. So these are links 7, so we'll still have time. So we'll go to the links later. Now this is machine vision. So the ability for machines to interpret images. All right. You all are with me? I mean, I'm not checked the chat box. All are with me?
Yes, looks like no queries so far.
Yeah, I hope it is interesting, or because once
Yeah,
I start
it
speaking.
is. Please go ahead. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, so once I start speaking, I don't stop. That's
No,
why I
please
need to.
continue. Quite
Yeah.
interesting even for me. I have no eyes in this.
Okay, fine. So next is machine vision. So the ability for machines to interpret images, example, optical character readers and face recognition apps. Now in this particular AI, how the AI is trained, you can see the first image of a ship over there in the ocean. Only one ship is there. So this AI is learning, right, to detect the boat. So this is the kind of, the green one is the image that AI has created in its own mind. All right. In the next picture, it is detecting the boat based on the sails. The first one was an entire picture. Second one is it is detecting the boat based on the sails, right? And then there is another one. So it is basically collating all kinds of images of boats, learning from it, and then it's deriving a complex understanding of what a boat should look like. So from all three, it has learned that the boat would be, being looking something like this. All right. So this is how machine vision works. All right. So AI develops its thinking model kind of to identify images also. Okay. Next one is speech recognition. Now this particular app, this app is speech to face app. मतलब इसने इतनी सारी speeches study करके learn किया है, this particular app, that if you're speaking something to this app, they are going to design a face of you. Right. So over here in the second part of the chart, you will see that this particular guy looks like this. All right. He's going to speak in this particular app, and the app is going to design the face for him, a predictable face for him based just on his voice, nothing else, just based on his voice. So you imagine the number of voice samples this particular app, this machine vision app must have studied. All right. So these are the kind of technologies which are coming up. Then we all are aware of self-driving cars and robots, right? The robots which are meant for, even daily chores. ये जो राउंड घूमते रहते हैं पूरे घर में, स्वीपिंग और ये सब कर लेते हैं, वो भी 6,000 रुपीज में मिल जाते हैं, राइट? So these are the things which are coming up. So all those jobs and tasks which are standardized, which can be defined into step 1, step 2, and step 3 kind of things, they would be replaced by AI, right? That would be the minimum thing that we are going to see. All right. So in the accounting one, so there are apps which would tell your age, that would tell your gender based on face. There would be based on human handwriting, they will try to put up things, right? So in accounting, you will see you can scan invoices. In auditing, you can have something for audit compliances kind of things. Similarly, for finance, you can have something called for performance management kind of thing. See, if I'm talking about performance management, say, for example, you are talking about, say, a centralized treasury. If you're talking about centralized treasury, all big companies, they go for centralized treasury function, right? So what happens in a centralized treasury? If I'm talking about a power utility company, say Torrent Power is what I'm talking about. Now, this particular company, it has a corporate headquarters here in Ahmedabad, the Ashram Road Torrent House, and it has electricity manufacturing plants. One, they have a Britishers time unit over here, which is a coal-based plant. They have a gas-based plant near Surat called Sugen, and then they have windmills and solar plants in Jamnagar. Now that's the renewable units. And then they have distribution units in Ahmedabad, Jamnagar, Agra, Kanpur, Bhiwandi, Baddi. These are the distribution units of Torrent. The headquarters is in Ahmedabad. Now, all these units are going to have their own individual bank accounts, right? Now, how the centralized treasury functions. The treasury manager is going to get inputs of next 7 days estimated receipts and payments figures by the time he is leaving for home after the all day's work. Next 7 days estimated receipts and payments figures. Now, next morning when he's coming to office, he's going to find out कि आज मेरे पास कितने पैसे हैं, 2,000 crore, 5,000 crore, 10,000 crore, whatever the cash is. Now, from the 7 days estimated receipts and payments figures, he's going to calculate कि मैं आज कितना invest कर सकता हूँ. Now, the company's board has given him guidelines for investments. The treasury manager can invest in only this listed stocks, shares, and mutual funds, not beyond that. Now, the mutual fund and the stock guys are going to put it on his email that the expected rate of return for the day for our mutual fund or stock today is this, and this. Now he's going to calculate at around by 12 p.m. he's going to go to the whole-time director with his selection that today I'm going to invest in this, and this is the amount that I'm investing. By 3:30, he is going to wrap up all the investments, and he's going to send back to each of the units bank accounts amounts which are equivalent to their tomorrow's payment estimates. You understand the criticality of this kind of functions, right? When we're saying the payment estimate is for tomorrow, what does that mean is that tomorrow there will be an electronic transfer of that particular amount from torrent side to the vendor's side, right? So imagine if the right amount is not going to that account, what is going to happen the next day, right? As soon as the information is out, the stock markets are going to simply go suicidal. Nobody's going to ask how strong the balance sheet is. As soon as this news is out, that the payment has gone wrong, this is what's going to happen. Now, agar usne kam invest kar diya, if the treasury manager ne kam invest kar diya, just to be on a safer side for the tomorrow's payment estimate, then he's going to lose out on the money that he should be making in this 3.5 hours on the investment he is doing. So you understand how critical this function is. So when we talk about in the finance domain, when we talk about performance management, we as professionals should be knowing where exactly we are going to put the control points, install the control points on the AI, which is calculating this complex stuff. All right. It's human who's going to train the AI, right? Not the other way around. I mean, we are far as yet to have a scene where the AI is teaching a human, but to start with, it's a human who's going to train the AI. All right. So yeah. So this is how it's going to be. Now, when we talk about machine learning applications, we need to understand, identify, and learn the patterns from data. So one of the method is a predictive model. Now, in a predictive model, what's going to happen is that here's an example for machine learning. Will this customer pay if I grant him the loan or not? Now, this is a decision which a financial institution faces every single day. The people who are coming up with the loan proposals. So what this machine learning does is going to get the customer data, which includes the social media data and the online data of the person, because we are talking about AI over here. We are not talking about some primary human data collection kind of a thing, right? So it will get the customer data. It will use machine learning. Again, the machine learning fields are going to be defined by a human sitting in the bank or the financial institution, right? से अगर इसके ऊपर सोशल मीडिया में कुछ पेमेंट के बारे में कुछ कमेंट है इस बंदे के ऊपर, right? Whether we are putting that as a criteria in this particular AI system or not, that is what the bank is going to decide on. So based on using that machine learning processing on this data set, what could be the prediction, whether the person is going to pay my loan back or not, yes or no, and whether if he's going to default, I'm going to respectfully decline him the loan, right? So this is how machine learning helps. Now that was about the predictive model. There's a descriptive model too, to understand for categorization of when we're talking about consumer behavior or human behavior. We need a descriptive model also. So what kind of investor is this person? So machine learning is going to get the investor data, use machine learning processes on it, and it will answer whether it's an active investor or a consensus investor or a passive investor and give you an output. So this is a descriptive model of machine learning which is there. All right. Next one is robot process automation. And now it is going to use intelligence. Like fuzzy logic is something which we all know about, used in the washing machine these days, right? उसमें fuzzy logic का एक button रहता है, right? So it estimates on its own. Then there is online payroll processing kind of apps and softwares which are available. Audit work papers auto generation is also something which is available in some of the accounting softwares these days. Forms processing, right? Internet of things, we have smart homes, right? जहाँ पे sensors लगे रहते हैं. Only when a human enters, the light is going to go on, and when the human exits the room, the light goes off, right? So there are smart homes based on AI sensors. Inventory management can be done because there is a lot in inventory management, especially when we're talking about companies who are working in a huge amount of inventories like e-commerce portals, where there's a huge storage cost. There is something called economic order quantity. VCAs know about it, right? There's something called reorder level. There's something called safety stock. Sorry. So AI is going to, learn all this as much humans are going to teach it. So there's something about asset count. There is something about fleet management in per mile insurance. So right now we are seeing in the COVID times that our country was having oxygen, but then those vehicles which need to transport that oxygen were not there, right? So we facing right now that kind of a situation. All right. So all these kind of contingencies also AI can help you alert with. So smart analytics are also used for account receivable, account payable analysis, like aging of accounts, right? So you can redefine your credit policy structure. कितना credit देना है डेटर्स को, कितना credit लेना है creditors से. वैसे during this COVID times, people are only preferring cash these days. करना है तो करो, business nothing. That is how the scene has become very worse, but that is what it is. And then there is something called risk assessment, which can be done with smart analytics, right? Risk assessment. Because I work in national security domain, I can give you some of the examples out there. There are transactions which, people from Kashmir, some of the untoward bad elements, they were, trading with Pakistan. They were buying almonds, which is say 800 rupees kilo. Those almonds they were buying for 200 rupees kilo from Pakistan. They were selling 900 rupees kilo in India. And the remaining 700 was going into terror financing and stone pelting. All right. So when we are talking about risk assessment, AI would help you out with what kind of untoward terrorist financing or protest financing is being usage. That kind of the money laundering is done for that. Even for the protest, you would come to know of many such examples where AI can help you out with risk assessment. I mean, there were so many for the protests that were happening, the fake farmer protest and everything. Many places we saw that there were fake e-commerce portals, especially in the tourism sector, where people from foreign countries were booking entire tours, and they were canceling the tours after a few days. And this particular websites had policy of forfeiting the security deposit, and that entire security deposit was going into protest financing. Right, this is happening from Canada and UK and Australia for the farmers' protest. All right, so AI is going to help you out with this kind of risk assessment, where you're able to, you have to deploy multi-domain experts from IT to fraud checkers and everyone, right? So that is how you can find out the kind of money laundering and all the untoward kind of activities. When you're talking about companies, risk assessment can really help in terms of, the disasters, the business continuity planning. All these things requires risk assessment. All right, there's a risk-based governance audit entire domain that we have, which has plenty of use of artificial intelligence. All right. So there are opportunities from the world of games. When I'm talking about world of games, I'm talking about games in terms of academic R&D that I'm talking about. So I'm working on a game which is devised to train companies, CEOs, directors in United States. So when we're talking about AI in games, we give them different kind of scenarios. जैसे अभी COVID हो गया, तो what kind of stock you are going to keep, what kind of marketing efforts that you are going to put in, right? Those kind of games, scenario-based games, simulation kind of games. जैसे POK का simulation होता है, war simulation scenario kind of thing. तो बिल्कुल वैसे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए भी और प्रोफेशनल्स के ट्रेनिंग के लिए भी ऐसा गेम्स होता है बेस्ड ऑन बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट सिनेरियोस. तो उसमें भी एआई का बहुत बड़ा रोल है, राइट? सो there are plenty of opportunities out there in that too. So now when we are talking about implementing this kind of automations or usage of artificial intelligence, even in small offices, when I'm talking about it. So what kind of basic things that, I gave examples of many big things, but when we're talking about small professionals, practitioners, where you can start your automation in your offices, right? So you find out what are the similar processes which are happening in routine, because most of the times, what I believe an entrepreneur should be dividing his day into three parts. One is called fixed income. Second is called variable income. And third part is learning the skills which the market will require in the next 5 years and trying to convert variable income into fixed income, right? So your day should, as an entrepreneur, as a practitioner, your day should be divided into these three parts. All right. This is what I believe. All right. Now, those processes, what I have seen in traditional offices, CA offices, is that most of the time the practitioner is putting a lot of efforts in the routine tasks, which probably he should not be doing, or they are not giving, I mean, they are definitely not giving the kind of return which that particular CA's age and experience and knowledge should be giving. All right. So those kind of clerical tasks can definitely be automated, right? Whether you can start with some less costly kind of automations, which could be Google Sheet, sharing Google documents, that kind of stuff, right? Usage of more of Excel and that kind of things. If you are able to afford, you can go for team management softwares, like there's a Trello, there is a Asana, there is Jira, there is Slack. There's so many team management softwares which are available. Also, if remote working is something which I do believe, I was working remotely for, I mean, I'm working remotely since, I mean, 5 or 6 years now. So COVID is nothing. COVID made no difference to my life because I was already working remotely with US, Australia, and UK companies. So those CAs who do believe that, you know, remote format is helping them out with giving good performance from employees and saving on the transport cost and transport. Yeah, my task is also a good one. Thank you, Mayurji. Yeah, good one. So those small CAs who think that remote format is working going forward in terms of saving transport costs, saving emissions, you know, transport time, and still giving performance from the employees, I do encourage that they should continue with the remote working format. I mean, especially when you are not aware how Corona is going to get moving forward, because, you know, even if you vaccinate 135 crore people, you don't know the Corona scene in Zimbabwe or Africa or, you know, some corner somewhere in the world, and that guy is going to come and spread some new mutation, right? You never know. We have to get used to this remote format of working as long as much as possible. We don't want to risk our lives, right? So when we talk about small automations, scanning, printing ho gaya, digital input output ho gaya, right? You consider usage of sensor data, right? Consider integration of systems, right? Then you develop a customized prototype further, then you automate a bit, then you can go for a more complex intelligence kind of investments in those kind of things. All right. So this is how AI starts with. It starts with minor automations in your office management. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just keep on speaking. If people have questions, they can put up on the chat box. And I'll share my email ID, and I'll also send the presentation so that people can go through the links later. I have not covered the links, the web browser links. So people who want to connect with me can connect on my email ID. Yeah, any questions? You can post your questions on the chat box. Am I not audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So there is a question there. You can see the chat box.
Yeah.
Any
So
practical
idea where we can use our website or web presence to automate task or manage work. Uh, so, so one of the thing where you want to use your website, no, you don't need for client management, you need your website. But for team management, the cheapest format is Google Drive and Google Shared Documents. That's the cheapest free of cost kind of handling of team management that you can do. And you can use Google Excel sheets also. So you can plug in the times of who is supposed to go where, what time. You can estimate for the next 3-4 months and put up the tasks out there, right? For the client side, you will need to have an app which is customized one, right, for managing the clients. Judiciary in India using AI. Well, judiciary in India has a lot of recommendations being given, but none of the recommendations being implemented. So there are some vested interests who are interested in lawlessness. So we find that few of the courts using some of these products, but most of them are still going the traditional way. What skills corporate should focus on automations will disrupt their opportunities? Yes, all the basic skills and tasks are going to go, right? So all the young chartered accountants should obviously learn, find out what the market will need in the next 5 years and try to use more of online courses kind of formats for learning skills rather than going for traditional coaching people over here in India. I'll tell you a lot of there are a lot of courses which may not be even available in India, in the physical format. So the next 5 years, you need to find out what kind of some topics. In terms of opportunities, there are plenty of opportunities in different domains. SOPs designing is one that I'm doing. Contract drafting is another. I mean, say if you're talking about turnkey projects. Do you understand turnkey projects? Say suppose there's a capital budgeting to be done. We all understand capital budgeting. So say suppose a company is coming, they are suggesting कि यहाँ पे जमीन का टुकड़ा बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छी हवाएं चलती हैं, तो आप इस पे आप इसमें आप windmill का projects डालें. So they will give you a cash flows for the entire lifetime of the project, say 20, 25, 30 years. Then you are going to do, first of all, you are going to check out what kind of what kind of winds flow to the nearby to that area. Then you're going to revise your cash flow estimates. Then you're going to run capital budgeting on it. And then you are going to give a preference for a particular project proposal. These are 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 crore projects. Now, one thing in the contract, it has a gestation period. Say windmills, if you're talking about, it is going to have 3 years of gestation period. After that, there will be operation and maintenance. For the first 3 years, you are going to put out the financial closure and physical closure. Financial closure means as on that point in time, उसपे कितना पैसा खर्च हो चुका है. Physical closure means as on that particular time, कितना उसको चालू होने को लगेगा, right? कितना physically complete हुआ है वो, ठीक है? So you are going to do a capital budgeting out of it. Then there are opportunities with respect to contract drafting. So one is about the commissioning of the project, and then there is operation and maintenance part for 20 to 25 years of its life of the project, right? Somebody has asked me about opportunities for CA, so I'm trying to show what different kind of opportunities. This is not related to AI specific, right? One is that about contract drafting, right? And now the contract drafting fees for turnkey projects like this is around 3 to 6% of the project price, 10,000 crore. That is contract drafting fees, right? So contract drafting is one domain. SOPs designing is another domain. Then there is something, Competition Act is another completely new domain of practice which has come up because of e-commerce. Just as say suppose I'm searching something on Google, you will get an images and prices over there. ऊपर top में लिखा होगा ads और right hand side पे लिखा होगा sponsored. So Google is taking money from those guys to put them on the front page in the search, right? So this is not so in Europe and the West, in the US, they slammed on them antitrust regulations, which is the Competition Act over here, that you are dominant in position, you are the most used search engine in the world, you're dominant in position, making abuse of that dominant position. You are doing predatory pricing, which is selling below cost, etc., kind of allegations on Google, right? And they paid a hefty fine over there. Now in India, on all the e-commerce portals, there were similar allegations on Flipkart, on Snapdeal, and all of this, that you are dominant you have a dominant position, you are making abuse of the dominant position, you are doing predatory pricing, that's selling below cost, especially on those big billion day sale and all. So CCI ne unko abhi, they are still studying, CCI is still studying, but yes. So जैसे जैसे e-commerce portals आगे बढ़ते हैं, all the small shops owners and this also will have to give an e-commerce option to those loyal customers जो पीछे ही रहते हैं, शॉप के पीछे रहते हैं, पीछे की आजू बाजू की सोसाइटी में रहते हैं, भले ही वो फिजिकल शॉप भी चालू रखे हुए हैं, they still will have to give an online option. And when this all mid-sized retailers will start giving online option to their customers, they will have to compete with these big guys in terms of pricing. So every time there will be a scope for consultancy on adversarial impact of competition, predatory pricing, dominant position, abuse of dominant position, and so on and so forth. So this Competition Act is another new one. Insider trading is another new opportunity which I see. Say if I'm talking about Reliance Group, Mukesh Ambani, his family members, they have a Reliance Private Limited. Similarly, Tata Group would be having a Tata Private Limited, which is 100% family members ownership parent company, and that Private Limited holds shares in all the companies of the group, right? This is how the family exercise control over the whole group. Now, in the insider trading regulation, we have this trigger points, 5%, 10%, 15%, right? So now say suppose Mukesh Ambani's wife is trading in Reliance shares, and say suppose she has crossed this threshold trigger points. Obviously, she doesn't know what the insider trading regulation has to say. But yeah, so SEBI, NSE, BSE, all three have to be notified on the very same day of trading that so-and-so member of the promoter group, the shareholding pattern was so-and-so, the new pattern is so-and-so, with, this is the breach which happened with no intention of us being taken over. All right. So this is another scope that you have as a CA or a CS, someone who's near to the family, obviously going to have this kind of scope of determining what are these critical points. So there are many opportunities which I see. National security is another new domain which is untouched. Very much, many professionals would be required. As I told you that this particular Chinese apps which were banned, these were not banned just for because in warfare, talking to the enemy's population, bypassing the enemy's leadership is a lethal weapon of war. So banning these Chinese apps was not just economics. It was about from the security point of view. Imagine a crowd of say 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh people going haywire with some fake information. What kind of a mess they can create in a city. Imagine the social profiling data that the Chinese Communist Party would collect based on the likes and preferences of this kind of people, of your crowd, right? So it was quite risky. And there was an economic point of view in terms of when you are banning a tech item, it has a direct impact on the future research investments in the technology sector of that particular country. Yeah, because investments always follow the social optimum. So there was that another angle with respect to why the apps were banned, besides the security part of it. So there are so many professionals. I mean, the Chinese national team were able to invest in HDFC, और हमको 4 week बाद पता लगता है that it was an hostile. बोले it was the investment was very minor, but हमको 4 week बाद पता चलता है. So finance professionals with IT domains will be required in all eminent institutions like SEBI and RBI. अब खाली finance domain वाले नहीं चलेंगे, खाली IT domain वाले नहीं चलेंगे. So you need this kind of professionals who are finance plus IT, right? So multi-domain, as I told you, right? So different. There are so many opportunities for chartered accountants out there. The thing is that do they keep up with the skills which are required? Now I'll get back to the questions. I can go on speaking on the opportunities part. Yeah. So QuickBooks, Tally. Yeah, QuickBooks, Zoho, then SAP, Sage. These are for Australia, UK, US, Canada accounting, this softwares. So once how we are going to get this kind of clients, right? So one is what people talk is about the freelancer websites which are there online. But I'll tell you there are two methods. One is if you're able to get some practicing CPA contact, he will be more than happy to outsource you the work क्योंकि उसको 10% cost में पड़ता है. This is one thing. Second is you can collaborate with some IT friend of yours who doesn't know accounting or taxation. So he's already serving 2-3 US or UK clients, and you can collaborate with him for accounting tasks. I think Bangalore के लिए तो ये बहुत ही easy हो जाएगा because it's already an IT outsourcing hub. So this is another method. Third thing is that once you have learned the softwares which you need to serve these foreign clients with, you have to put up your website because website is the face of your organization. Without that, no foreign guy is going to transfer you the work because I mean, you talking from somewhere and you don't have an online presence, it's quite difficult to rely on you, frankly speaking. So you need to have your website. So website is the face of your organization, and then you can connect and do networking online on their portals. ठीक है, उनके job portals भी होते हैं, उसमें भी आप डाल सकते हो that you are so and so CA firm and giving so and so service, right? I mean, big fours are doing this, so don't ask me that question. Okay, it's against the. You can definitely pass on your visiting your information to anyone. I mean, without soliciting work, you can definitely pass on your qualification and your experiences information anywhere. That is definitely allowed, right? You can find, you understand what language to be used, right? So, okay, let me check. How can small firms get benefited from AI? So small firms के लिए मैं यही बोल रहा हूँ कि आप अपनी टीम को मैनेजमेंट करने के लिए स्मॉल ऑटोमेशंस कीजिए. जैसे मैंने गूगल शीट्स के बारे में बताया, ठीक है, उसमें एक्सेल भी है, वर्ड भी है, राइट. दूसरा ये है कि रिमोट वर्किंग फॉर्मेट का कीजिए, ठीक है. एआई के लिए तो फिर सी मेकिंग एन एआई स्टफ, कस्टमाइज्ड एआई स्टफ इज अ कॉस्ट, right? And that's why you are seeing that the big fours are able to do it very fast, right? But customized AI for you would be enhanced tools which are already there, right? तो जैसे आपके accounting software हो गया, Tally है, तो उसमें आप remote access और remote working का कैसे कर सकते हैं? आप जो अभी आपके पास है उसमें आप क्या enhancement कर सकते हैं automation वाली? That is what you focus on, rather than investing some 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs rupees just like that, right? Or do understand that there are some section of consultants who have to show off. I mean, because they're collecting a chunk of money based on showcasing that particular product or marketing that particular product. Maybe there is not much of an actual use. All right, ऐसा भी होता है. So you have to take your call. There's no thumb rule where I can say, oh, you go for it. No, you have to decide for your cash flows and your requirements. What skills corporate executives working in KPO should focus on as automations will disrupt their opportunities in the future? Yeah. So, so what happens is a lot many students also come to me with this kind of questions. And let me tell you, nobody can tell you the starting point. If you tell me the end point, I can tell you the starting point. This is the trouble with so many chartered accountants out there. They will tell me, sir, हम अभी क्या करें? I can't tell you अभी आप क्या करो. You tell me the end point, I can tell you the starting point, right? So हाँ, तो only we can give guidance, but उसके लिए end point तो पता होना चाहिए. What exactly you want to do, lifetime, right? तो बहुत confused रहते हैं, members भी confused रहते हैं, students भी. How can small wo gaya learning skills? 5 years what the market would require. That is what you need to research in. And what is your interest in? You have to combine that. वो एक छोटा सा dot मिलेगा point of intersection. That is what you need to grow big, right? What the market needs next 5 years in right? अब तो geography वाला constraint तो रहा नहीं कि you would give this excuse कि मैं तो यहाँ रहता हूँ तो मेरे से नहीं होएगा, right? Now it is remote and internet access everywhere. So you find out what the market needs and where your interest of working collides with that market requirements, right? अगर आपको auditing में interest है तो auditing specific domain में आप क्या क्या enhancement कर सकते हो in the next 5-10 years, right? तो जैसे मैंने example भी दिया, राजकोट based small young group of CA, two of them, they created their customized audit tool. Which is working bang on. I mean, people are ready to buy it at whatever cost. So, आप ढूंढे where your interest collides with the market requirements, right? Next question. What is the cost involved in implementation of AI? So, what kind of AI tool it is? If you're talking about a chatbot, तो फिर ये आपको IBM का है, दूसरी companies का भी available है. You have to find out whether that cost matches with the kind of usage that you have. And then it's not just buying the AI. उसको फिर आपको आपके वर्क के हिसाब से AI को पहले ट्रेन भी करना पड़ेगा. It's not just the buying cost. You have to customize it completely as per your requirement. ठीक है? So go think about it. So that's why I told you end करने से पहले ही presentation that जो टूल्स आपके पास है उसको अभी क्या आपने मैक्सिमम पॉइंट पे लेके गए हो क्या ऑटोमेशन के. ठीक है, इफ यू आर यूजिंग एक्सेल शीट, सिंपल आई एम टॉकिंग एग्जांपल, इफ यू आर यूजिंग एक्सेल शीट, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर यूजिंग द मोस्ट कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर्मूला इन दैट कि अभी भी वो मैनुअल फीडिंग ही चल रहा है. ठीक है, तो यहां से मैंने अगर क्वांटिटी और प्राइसिंग डाला है तो प्राइस कैलकुलेट हो रहा है. प्राइस के बाद दूसरे वेंडर्स के साथ कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस भी हो रहा है एक्सेल शीट में, और मुझे सिलेक्शन के लिए डिसीजन भी मिल रहा है. उस हद तक का वी लुकअप से लेके ये सारे इफ कंडीशन वाले सारे फॉर्मूलाज यूज करके ये डिराइव होता है कि मैं खाली एक्सेल शीट 3 कॉलम की बनाता हूं, फिर उसको 5 घंटे लेके बैठता हूं पर्सनली, खुद फिर कैलकुलेट करता हूं. दिस इज द डिफरेंस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. तो पहले जो टूल्स आप यूज कर रहे हैं उसको आप फुल एनहेंसमेंट कैपेसिटी पे लेके जाएं. I don't know about Bangalore, but I'm talking about the areas here nearby. They are not even using Excel to the full, right? Is AI going to 100 in the internal audit domain? I am 100% sure AI is going to replace, because के वो उसका स्कोप जो है वो मैनेजमेंट ने बनाना है. ठीक है, टूल अवेलेबल है. आईटी डिपार्टमेंट जो है वो स्कोप की पूरी क्राइटेरिया टूल के अंदर इंस्टॉल करके देगा. ठीक है, फिर एक सीनियर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट चाहिए, एक ही बंदा जो आएगा, बटन प्रेस करेगा, एक्सेप्शन रिपोर्ट्स निकालेगा और रिपोर्ट ड्राफ्ट करके चला जाएगा. इंटरनल ऑडिट में तो रिप्लेसमेंट के 100% चांस है. स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट में इट विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. Which accounting package could use AI by CA in practice? I'll send you the list. You can email me. ठीक है, Zoho QuickBooks. हाँ, वो ऑडिट फीचर्स तो टैली में भी है, नो बिग डील. how work from home and AI are related, right? Well, it's a kind of automation. Everything which is automated has something to do with AI, right? It requires intelligence, some kind of intelligence which humans cannot produce at that point in time, right? So if you're talking right now on this particular WebEx, right, it's a kind of automation. Otherwise, we need to be one-on-one, physically be present, right? From auditor's point of view. Yeah, so there are chartered accountants who are making customized audit tools, even in Excel. Yes. What steps to be taken to get remote assignments? I told you, one is CPA contact, second is website that you put, and then you have to promote what qualifications you have and what services you provide on their local websites. जैसे यहाँ पे OLX और Quicker है, वैसे US, UK, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की जो लोकल वेबसाइट्स होगी, वहां पे आप अपने क्वालिफिकेशन और सर्विसेज लिख सकते हैं कि I provide this services, right? That is how you are going to do the marketing. You cannot definitely say, give me the work, right? That will be a problem. What is the difference between AI and data science? Well, data science is one of the subset of AI. So AI is the broader umbrella. Data science is just a part of it, right? With more usage of AI, CFOs will have more and more data analysis. But do you think the current CFO has enough knowledge to use data-driven decisions? So that is the kind of skills you have to derive. That's what I am continuously saying. तो डेटा कलेक्शन हो जाएगा, डेटा का एनालिसिस भी एक पॉइंट तक होके मिलेगा, पर उसमें से डिराइव तो उस बंदे ने ही करना है. It is there. So the CFOs and board currently are not equipped with that kind of skills, but they will have to get equipped. Or what is going, and let me tell you one thing, I had posted this on Facebook also. Two kind of formats, working formats, which are coming up. One is where age is not going to be a factor. Age is not going to be a factor. ठीक है, सबको एक ही पे स्केल मिलेगा, right? For every domain expertise, every department. जो बंदा ज्यादा साल रहा है उसको लॉयल्टी अलाउंस थोड़ा मिलेगा. Otherwise, everybody will be at par because as I told you, the standardized task will be given to AI. तो जो नीचे का मैनेजमेंट हायरार्की का जो नीचे का पार्ट था वो चला गया है. ठीक है, ऊपर के पार्ट की अब जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है, so everybody will be at par. Every 2 years the format will be such कि आपको सैलरी के साथ skill updation education allowance मिलेगा, and you take up the skill on which you are working. और human resource recruitment भी पूरा change होएगा. इसमें they are going to hire you based on your character, not based on your skills. They will ask you what skills you know, and आपने जितने skills उनको बोले हैं उसमें आपको 3-4 months आपको you'll be given the steering wheel for the organization. You do it and show that you have that skill. और फिर एक skill के लिए आपके लिए vacancy create करेंगे. ये जो उल्टा होता था ना, there is a vacancy and then they are hiring, वैसे नहीं होएगा. They will ask you what skill you have, and you will be given this experimentation zone for 2-3 months for all the skills, and then they will create a vacancy. So ये HR recruitment भी change होएगा, और ये जो flat organization structure, no hierarchy kind of thing. हाँ, जो लोग ज्यादा साल रहे हैं उनको loyalty bonus या ऐसा कुछ मिल सकता है. But everybody is at par क्योंकि हर 2 साल सबने नए skills लेने ही है, तो आपको skills और education allowance मिलेगा. This is what I see in the next 8 to 10 years. This is the format everybody is going to work, something like that. You'll get an education allowance for companies, from companies only. ठीक है, उसका लीव भी मिलेगा. That they will be freely giving you that funds कि आपको जो सीखना है सीख के आओ. Any good source we can be trained. Yeah, KPO or BPO companies now in finance and finance area. I'll have to check out. So you can ping me on my email ID. I'll respond to your questions. This BPO KPO specific. Is AI going to replace 100 audit हो तो हो गया? ठीक है. यहाँ पे BPO South जितना नहीं है BPO KPO का, so I'll have to check it out and I'll revert on that. ठीक है. Anything else which is pending? I think I'm done with the questions.
Yeah. I think you have done.
Yeah.
Yes, over to Divya. Thank you, Ankith. It was quite interesting, very, very informative.
Thank
You
you.
really enriched us. Thank you very much. Over to Divya. Divya, you are there? Divya, you are there? Hello? Yeah, friends, let me conclude the session. We had an excellent session from CA Ankith from Ahmedabad. In a very short notice, he came forward and delivered this excellent session. So on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants here, our wholehearted thanks to CA Ankith. Thank you very much, Ankith.
Thank you so much. Thanks. My pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, friends, that's for the day. Thank you very much to each one of you. Good night.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.